ROI with these mobile hacks. We're very excited to have you here today and can't wait to get started. So if you are not familiar with WordStream, we are a search marketing software provider with free and paid tools to help you easily grow your AdWords and Bing campaigns. And if you're looking to master paid search, definitely I recommend checking out our PPC University at www.wordstream.com/learn. Also, to get some logistics out of the way, we are recording today's webinar, and I will send the slides and recording out following Erin's presentation, and you guys can review that, share it with colleagues, do what you wish with it. We also encourage you guys to be social throughout today's presentation. Definitely join the conversation on Twitter with, you can follow us at WordStream, and you can also follow today's speaker at Erin Sagan. Now I'm going to pass it over to Erin, and she's going to introduce herself.
Hey, Callie, thanks so much for the introduction. I'm really excited to walk through some of this material with you guys. But before I get started, I wanted to give you a little bit of a sense of who I am and kind of where my expertise lies. So I'm a customer success manager here at WordStream. I've been here for about 4 years, and my team is responsible for managing just over 3,000 accounts. And that adds up to about $500 million in annualized revenue. We're managing everything from these teeny tiny clients all the way up to the big guns. So all of the information I'm going to share with you today is based off data from those clients. So it's great because we have such a wide representation. We can really get some good data points. A little bit about me. I've lived in 6 different cities in the last 6 years. Ranging from sunny Miami and Havana all the way up to Boston, which is not beautiful, but still a great place to live. And that's where WordStream's headquarters is located. I also, to give you a sense of the nerdy side of me, I used to play the piano competitively, and now I can barely read music. And I'm a bartender on the side, so when I'm not doing PPC, I'm working behind the bar. All right, now you guys know a little bit about me. And now I want to know a little bit about you. So I'm going to run a quick poll, and we want to know what your biggest mobile pain point is. And if I can get a sense if there is kind of a strong swing one way or the other, I'll try to focus some of the content towards that. And I'll even try and prepare myself to help you out with those things even when it isn't part of the presentation right now.
Erin, what do you think everybody's going to choose?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would guess, I think a lot of it is generating mobile traffic. Mobile is kind of a hard nut to crack and an expensive nut to crack, and we'll be talking about that today. So I think a lot of people probably are having trouble generating clicks to their ads, and mobile landing pages are always a pain point.
Great. Well, I'm going to close this up and share the results. So it looks like an even split almost across all 4, but mostly between landing pages aren't performing well, they can't seem to generate any clicks, and a lot of people are just avoiding it altogether. I think there's a little bit of a fear factor there, so hopefully you can help people out today and put their minds at ease.
Cool. I will try my best. And as Callie mentioned, I do want to encourage you guys, ask as many questions as you can during the webinar. If I can keep track of them and I see anything coming in specific to the content I'm talking about, I'll try and address it as we go. Otherwise, we'll have a good chunk of time at the end available to answer your questions. Particularly those of you who are avoiding mobile altogether. I want to get you out of that mindset and into the mindset of starting to explore it. So ask whatever questions you need to start getting comfortable in this space. All right, let's get started. So why the big focus on mobile? And you hear this every year. Every year, the experts are like, 2013, the year of mobile. 2014, the year of mobile. Well, 2015, not to sound like a broken record, but it actually is the year of mobile. And the reason that that's the case is because the first time ever, we're seeing more mobile users than desktop users. And that's a pretty powerful thing, you know? I mean, it's becoming more and more common to use your cell phone or tablet, but mainly your cell phone instead of a desktop computer. And we've actually seen that the number of searches have surpassed mobile has surpassed desktop. So we know that more traffic coming in through paid search from Google is mobile than it is desktop. So if you're not in this space, it's time to start thinking about whether you need to be in this space, which almost everyone does, and how to actually do it the right way. And what we see is a lot of people are doing it the wrong way. So when you look at this picture, it's a little bit disenchanting, right? Because look at that red line. That red line is the mobile line. That's where mobile conversion rates lie. Significantly lower than tablet or desktop, which is terrifying now that we know that mobile has become so prevalent. Now, there's a quick caveat here, be it a good thing or a bad thing. I think a lot of people aren't tracking their mobile conversions. And this really comes down to people not tracking phone call conversions. So this number may be slightly misrepresented, but the problem with that is, it's not heartening because if you're not tracking your mobile conversions, you're not able to optimize based on those conversions. And you're not able to adjust your strategy correctly because you don't have a full picture of what's going on. So a big set of issues here, first being that mobile conversion rates are lower, but secondly, that they're just misrepresented and we don't have a clean picture of what's going on. So when I first saw that graph, I was like, holy crap, this is devastating. I mean, I literally felt like this girl because I felt like no matter what I did, I wasn't going to be able to improve my mobile conversion rate. I'd had a lot of trouble with mobile in the past. It's a tough nut to crack, and I was like, well, great. More traffic comes in, and I'm only going to see a decline in my results. But then I started working with my team, and we started noticing something really interesting. Our clients who were struggling with mobile, we were all thinking about the mobile landing page. We were thinking, okay, if we want to get more conversions, how do we engage in conversion rate optimization for mobile? Well, duh, you look at your mobile landing page. That was our greatest issue. We weren't looking at the complete picture. So the biggest thing I would urge you guys to do as you think about your mobile strategy is take 3 steps back. Stop looking at the landing page for a hot second and think about how your searcher's mindset. Think about the experience they have on the SERP and then think about their landing page, because there's a lot of opportunity in those first 3 steps of the process to improve your performance, and ultimately, if you're improving your PPC performance and you're driving more qualified visitors to your mobile site, you'll automatically see an uptick in your conversion rate. So this is problem number 1 that I see a lot of advertisers suffering from, and it's that no one is seeing their ads. Now why? I mean, you're running a mobile campaign. Why wouldn't people see your ads? Well, let's take a look at search impression share by device. Now the line you want to focus on here is the green line. That is mobile devices. And look at that in comparison to the gray line, desktop. You can see you lose impression share very, very quickly with mobile. And it makes sense, right? There's really so many fewer opportunities to get impressions on mobile because you're working on such a teeny tiny page. So you're twice less likely to show up for mobile than desktop searches. So you might be killing it on desktop, but that doesn't mean you can apply that exact same strategy to mobile, because it is a little tougher. It is important to make one of those top spots. I mean, that graph, it's really, it's powerful. Take a second and look at that. I really want this to sink in for you guys, how critical position is on mobile. The competition here is fierce. It's fierce because mobile ads are much less likely to be shown, even in position number 1. If you're making it below position number 2, nearly no one is scrolling to the bottom of that page and seeing your ad. And then moreover, no accounts have mobile position below 4. Look back at that. You have 0 impression share when you're hitting 4. So if you're not making it in those 4 positions, you're screwed. And really the reality is if you're not making it in one of the top positions, you're going to really struggle with mobile. So that competition is fierce and you need to prepare for it. This is really interesting. We mapped out search impression share loss to rank by device. So again, we're seeing that rank is a huge, huge factor here. In fact, the mobile impression share penalty is 2 times more dramatic than its desktop counterpart. All right, so what do we need to do? We need to boost our ad rank, right? I mean, that's the big epiphany here. If you're not in a good position, you're not going anywhere. Boost your ad rank. So just a refresher to make sure everyone's on the same page. I heard some people were having some audio issues. I just wanted to check in. We changed the audio slightly. Can you let us know if it's working a little bit better?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit better, Erin.
Okay, perfect. All right, so back to what I was saying in regards to ad rank. Let's just take a look, make sure everyone's on the same playing field and understands how ad rank is composed. So we look at your max CPC bid, multiply it by your quality score, and that's going to give us our ad rank. So first things first, let's take a look at our bidding strategy. Now, this graph is really interesting, right? Because what we're seeing here is that mobile CPCs, they're on the rise. In fact, they're on the rise so much that they've increased by 150% since 2012. Now, they're still lower than everybody else, right? Which is great. But at the same time, they're not like if you set them a long time ago and you've never dealt with it since, or you set a really aggressive bid modifier to really bump down those mobile bids, rethink that, because they're on the rise and you can't be afraid to boost those mobile bids. If you can't keep up with rising CPCs, there is just absolutely no way you'll remain competitive and no way you'll be able to achieve a good ad rank. Because remember, one huge component of ad rank is how much you're paying. Okay, so when I say this to my clients, they're like, oh, okay, cool, just keep spending money with Google. Always the answer, up your bids. Well, if you feel like that's the case and you feel like you're throwing your money in a trash can when you send it to Google, rest assured there is one other factor that's a contributor to ad rank, and it's a little bit different. So as you can see here, every plus or minus 1 point in quality score results in plus or minus 18% change in mobile impression share. So what that means is if you can focus on getting your quality score just a teensiest bit higher, it will have a huge impact on that impression share, and you won't need to focus quite so hard on boosting those bids. Now, I know if you guys come to WordStream webinars ever, you're probably more than familiar with the importance of quality score and the composition of quality score. So I'm not going to dive into it too deeply. If anybody does have any questions, just let us know. But as advertisers, you need to be incredibly familiar with these components, and every day, everything driving your PPC strategy should circle around these components. You should be focused on these heavily. And it's not just because quality score is the be-all, end-all. It's because these components of quality score, the reason Google has these components is because they want you to create these tightly knit, relevant accounts that provide really good user experiences for the searcher. So if you're focusing on these items, chances are your PPC is going to flourish, not just quality score-wise, but altogether, because you're giving the searchers a better experience. Problem number 2 that a lot of people are experiencing. We did have one question about quality score. I'll point out. Someone said, how do you check your quality scores? Those are all available to you in AdWords. And we also, in WordStream, provide quality score on the keyword level. So you can always check it in right alongside your keywords in AdWords or WordStream. All right, so issue number 2 your phone isn't ringing. You're sitting around waiting for the phone to ring. And if you're advertising on mobile devices, your phone should be ringing. And here's why. Let's get into it a little bit. Phone call leads are the hottest leads that you can get. I mean, phone call leads are a gold mine. Here at WordStream, it's kind of funny, we have a support line that it's like a sales support line, and it doesn't belong to one single person. It's kind of in the middle of the whole sales department. And any sales rep can pick it up when it rings. And let me tell you, when that phone rings, it sounds like there's a stampede through the office. I mean, elbows are thrown everywhere. People are trampling one another. Everybody wants to pick up that freaking phone. Once I saw somebody almost break their arm because they got into such an aggressive wrestling match for the stupid phone. Why did they want the phone so badly? Why were they risking their lives to pick up the phone? Because phone call leads are awesome. They're warm leads. They're people who are actively picking up the phone, and they are calling you because they want to know about your products and services. They might want to become your client. Now, not only is it great because you have a warm lead on the other end of that line, the other great thing about it is people are picking up the phone and have the opportunity to cater the conversation to that particular caller. So your conversion rate optimization is kind of like instead of giving everybody the same landing page, whoever picks up the phone is giving that person a different, better experience catered towards them. So phone calls are really incredible. And in fact, when we look at mobile, click-to-call is really just a total game changer. Look at the left-hand side here of that funnel, right? That's a desktop search conversion funnel. So let's say somebody sees your ad, they click on your ad. They click on your ad, they land up on your landing page. Now, we know that the average conversion rate is about a 3%. In fact, it's actually a little bit lower than a 3%. So what does that mean? You have a teeny tiny group of people who are actually converting off that landing page, and everybody else is bouncing. Now, of those people who did, of that teeny tiny 3% of people who you actually got to fill out your form on the landing page, you then have to reach out to them to actually close them, right? So then you got to think about this graph on the left-hand side, and you can see the response time is a key factor in whether or not you can get somebody to convert. So if you are not quickly able to get these people on the phone and convert them, you're going to lose them altogether. Why? Because they're going to look at your competitor. They're going to keep searching for what they want, and they're going to end up with somebody else if you're not calling them immediately. So, right, this whole desktop conversion funnel, it's not ideal here, right? You're losing people. Those contact rates, unless they're amazing, they're going to start to drop off. You're losing people, losing interest. Click-to-call, total game changer. Why? Because when you look at the mobile conversion funnel, it has a really, really clean process in front of you. You see the ad, the person sees the phone number alongside the ad, they call the business, and the lead is captured. You don't have to worry about that leaky landing page, right? And these calls are worth 3 times more than clicks to your website. So it's a total no-brainer. You absolutely need to be enabling people to call you from the SERP. In fact, we like to think of it this way at WordStream, right? Click equals call me maybe if they fill out the form, if you can contact them after they fill out the form. Call, that's an immediate close. That's like, money flowing in, right? Because you have people picking up the phone, calling, and you can close them and make them your customers. And even AdWords is starting to acknowledge this new phenomenon. Even AdWords recognizes that calls are critical. So you can see they're actually adding new metrics quite frequently, all of which are circling around call details. And AdWords even implemented their own call tracking system. This is amazing, right? Because now AdWords is saying, hey, instead of just basing your PPC, your mobile PPC strategy off the typical old metrics, now you can use these call metrics because we know that calls are so important.
All right, so you need to be promoting these calls, and in fact, promoting them directly from the SERP, so you never lose people to a leaky landing page. How do we do that? Well, the first thing is, and this is a given, you have to be doing this. If you are advertising on mobile devices, you absolutely need to create a mobile preferred ad. Creating a mobile preferred ad is really easy. All you have to do is check off this checkbox, and that will tell Google this is the ad you'd like to show up for. You'd like to show up when somebody does a mobile search. And the results here are staggering. For people who are using the mobile preferred ads, they're seeing significantly higher click-through rates and ultimately significantly higher conversion rates. Now, you can't just click this button and expect it to be mobile preferred, right? You click this button to indicate to Google that the ad that you've created you'd like for it to show on mobile, but you also need to tweak the ad. So I recommend including phone-specific language. Speaking to the person who you know is on a cell phone, acknowledge that they are a mobile searcher. Encourage them to call you. Push them to call you. Keep it short and sweet, right? The other thing you want to think about is you don't have as much space on the mobile SERP to make an impact, right? So if you can keep it short and sweet, making your ad clear, straight to the point, you'll ensure that people are more likely to read it. And then the other thing, and this is a small thing, but it's important to know, Google does a lot of testing with ads on mobile, and they've done something whereby they've eliminated parts of the ad and only shown the title, and then some of the links, like if you're using ad extensions. So make sure that the title makes sense on its own. You never want to use a choppy title that, like, you know, half of the title is in the headline and the other half is in the description line. Your title should never be that long. Your title should be short, it should be sweet, and it should fit within the headline of your ad copy. Another thing you want to do is utilize ad extensions. So even though mobile click-through rates tend to be low, extensions yield much higher conversion rates. And we see that particularly with mobile click-to-call and mobile app extensions. I mean, these are huge, right? Look at this. I mean, over 20% of the people who are using that mobile click-to-call are converting. And in apps, it's even higher. So you absolutely want to implement ad extensions. So call extensions are really, really easy to add. Literally all you have to do is set up the extension. You can kind of forget about it later. It doesn't require any upkeep or maintenance. But all you need to do is plug in your phone number, indicate whether you want to use a Google Call forwarding number or your own phone number. And that is a decision you'll want to make, you know, thinking about your business and whether or not you have the capacity to set up some Google Call reporting. You can decide, well, you used to be able to decide this is actually an old screenshot. Now you actually have to show both the website and the phone number. I'll get to that a little bit later. And then, of course, device preference, mobile. And that's all you need to do to set up the call extension. What happens is it'll add this little call button, and it could potentially show the phone number as a headline, and that's going to push people to call directly from the mobile SERP. And users are actually 9 times more likely to call from a mobile SERP than a desktop. Since we know calls are so valuable and so important, you absolutely want to be taking advantage of this and encouraging people to call. You know, get that 9 times more likely to call by adding a button like this and promoting it through your ad text. And in fact, Google read our minds because in the past we would say, oh man, I wish that I could just have my call extension and not even send people to my mobile landing page. You know, I just want them to call. And Google created something specifically to allow us to do this. So this is awesome. These call-only campaigns help you to eliminate clicks to mobile landing pages altogether. So what they do is they plug your number into the headline of your ad and they plug that call button in. And you'll see there's not even the opportunity to click on it and go to the landing page. There's only the opportunity to call. And you know what? This is great because the phone number will appear regardless of where that person's located. So it's not like extensions, which can be a little bit finicky at times based on the situation of that user. In this case, with the call-only campaigns, that call information is available to whomever is searching. So this is really big. This was really exciting when they launched it. I've seen clients that it's working very well for, and it's easy to set up. The only thing you need to keep in mind is phone number verification. So there is a short phone verification process that Google will need to do with you before this is up and running. Another thing you want to think about when you're promoting phone calls is think about the ad scheduling you're setting up for these. So remember that phone calls can come in during your off hours. So how do you, based on your business, want to react to this? For some people, they'll use time of day bid modifiers to bid less during their off hours. That'll ensure that they're still showing up, but they're not putting a high priority to show up during the off hours. They could potentially send people to a voicemail, but knowing that they're going to call them back the next day. For some businesses, that may be worthwhile. For others, they'll use advanced options to just schedule extensions. So maybe only schedule your call extensions to show during the hours that you have somebody there answering the phone. And for the times that there's nobody there to answer it, maybe you only want to send people to your mobile landing page. That's definitely a viable option for some people. For those who are really, really focused on calls and know that, maybe you're careful with your budget, you only want to show up pushing people to call while you're open, just pause your campaigns during those off hours. You can use day parting to do that very easily, and that will ensure that you're really not pushing people to call when nobody's there to answer the phone. The other thing you want to think about is you've now introduced a human component to your PPC process. So you want to make sure that you're prepared for that, right? You want to understand that component. So run test phone calls. Understand the user experience. Understand who these people are talking to. And even if it's, with WordStream, when you call, you press 1 for sales and 2 for CS. Make sure that you've optimized that experience and it makes sense and your users understand it. Also, again, make sure you get to know the team who's answering the phones. So know the sales team. Get involved with the sales team. Request feedback from your sales team about who's coming in through paid search. That can really be beneficial. You want to understand how things are going, and these are the best people to give you that qualitative information. And then the final thing here is just ensure your staff sufficiently to handle call volume. Nobody wants to sit there waiting, on the line for 20 minutes because all of your operators are busy. So if you are getting a high volume of phone calls, make sure that you have 1 or 2 or multiple lines available, or ensure that you are hiring appropriately to handle this call volume. I think a lot of clients take this for granted. They just assume that side of the process is dealt with, and they don't see it as part of marketing's job to worry about what the sales team is doing. You have to remember the marketing and the sales teams, they work hand in hand, and you should be really, really close with your sales team. They should know what you're working on, and you should know kind of their response to leads that you're bringing in. I had a really, really interesting experience with one of my clients who set up WordStream's call tracking. It was interesting because with our call tracking solution, we actually record a copy of the phone call that comes in through PPC. And what this person did when they first listened to the recording, they realized they had a grave, grave error occurring. And what that was is they were bidding on their competitors' branded terms, as probably many of you guys are as well. Now their secretary, who was effectively their salesperson, was picking up the phone, and when people would refer to the competitor, she would give them their phone number and send them to the competitor. which is insane. But in her mind, she was like, oh, you guys have the wrong number. In reality, the person who was running the PPC account was absolutely pursuing that particular competitor's clientele, and they were trying to steal the traffic and trying to push them their way, and they were succeeding, only to have their misinformed secretary tell them to go away. So make sure you're really, really honing in on this and ensuring that you're giving callers the experience that you want them to have. And don't take that for granted. Spend the time to make sure your team is prepared. In fact, I would go as far to say this, that call center staff training is equivalent to landing page optimization when it comes to mobile. Rather than optimizing the experience someone is having on the site, you're optimizing the experience somebody is having when someone in your office picks up the phone. And you want to ensure that you are giving the sales team exactly what they need to be most successful with the clients they're bringing on. Now, some of you are probably sitting there being like, oh my God, she is telling me all this stuff about these amazing phone calls, and I don't even take phone calls. And being a little bit facetious here when I say, be rebellious, just adapt, just do it. But I'm also being a little bit serious. I think there is a lot of value in phone calls, and it's certainly dependent on your business and your margins. But for a lot of people, if you haven't tried a model that does offer people the ability to call you, if you can fit it in with your margins and it makes sense for your business, just try it. See if you're able to convert more people off the phone than you are off your landing. You can also do some other things. So particularly if you have an app, redirect traffic to your app rather than your mobile landing page. We know that conversions in-app tend to be higher. And people spend a lot of time in apps. People are kind of very comfortable using apps these days and oftentimes have a much better user experience than they do on landing pages. So definitely if you have an app, explore the app thing. That could also be huge for you. And finally, and this is the most painful of all of the things and all of the issues that I tend to see on mobile, is that so many people out there are using these absolutely obsolete mobile strategies. Mobile landing page strategies. So these landing pages, they are brutal. When I look at these landing pages, I am like, holy crap, who wants to spend time on any of these? And who would actually convert from this? And it didn't take me long to find these 3 landing pages. I'm sure if any of you guys are sitting at your desk holding your phone right now, probably texting while you're talking to me, if you took 5 minutes to hop on Google and check out landing pages, chances are you'd be able to find equally ugly things out there. And they're so frustrating. So why do we build these? Like these pages were built specifically for mobile phones. Why did we build such crappy sites? Oh, right, because mobile's slow. Okay, if you're saying that mobile is slow, you haven't been on a phone in years, because mobile is no longer slow. In fact, mobile phones are significantly more powerful than they were just, last year. You can watch movies on your phone. You can actually manage your AdWords account on your phone if you have a Droid. That is wild. They're not slow anymore. If you're saying they're slow, then that's a crutch. Or how many times do we hear, I built this really simplistic, stupid, crappy mobile site because I didn't want to overdo it. Mobile landing pages, they're so small. The screens are so tiny. So I built this overly simplistic page. Well, that's also a total crutch because phones are getting bigger and bigger, right? Like people are using phablets. They call them phablets because they're barely phones. They're almost tablets. They're so big. People can't fit their phones in their back pocket. So if you're telling me mobile phones are too slow and their screens are too small, then that is an absolute crutch that you need to start to recognize that you can't get away with these mobile landing pages. And so what do you need to do? Dump those old mobile landing pages. Stop using them. If they're crappy and they're not working for you, get rid of them. Invest in resources to build newer, better landing pages or mobile responsive landing pages, and I guarantee you it will benefit you in the future. So if you look at these particular crappy sites, we did some analysis on them, and what we found was a number of people who were making it to these sites were electing to view the main site. So you can see here you have the option go to main site. Here you have full site. So these people were so annoyed by these crappy mobile experiences, they were electing to view the full site on mobile phones. Okay, what is the point of having a mobile landing page if people want to view the whole site? And you know what we're seeing is people were converting more off the full site than they were the mobile site. So again, what's the point of having a mobile site if it's not ushering in more conversions and it's not truly mobile friendly? In this case, it would be better off if those companies had to skip out on mobile landing pages altogether and sent people to their full site. That's crazy. And I always recommend giving people the opportunity to leave your mobile page and elect to see your full site. Because then you can start to track information like this and really identify whether or not your mobile landing page is doing what you want it to do. Now keep in mind the thing here with this whole phenomenon is I get that it's not easy to build a new mobile landing page overnight. Right? I'm not expecting you to build these gorgeous mobile landing pages super quickly. I do think you need to do it, and I do think the urgency is there. But one thing to think about is, can you bypass your mobile landing pages in the meantime? I mean, I showed you how to use those call extensions. Perhaps you could use call-only campaigns and call extensions during the time that you're working on these mobile landing pages. Anyway, so let's recap. Make sure that we're covering everything here. So we'll take 3 steps back and think about right in the beginning of the searcher's experience, let's make sure you're actually showing up on mobile. So first things first, think about boosting your ad rank and actually gaining visibility on the SERP. Second, you want to think about promoting call conversions directly from the SERP. We know calls are valuable. We know they're important. Promote them. And finally, remember that mobile landing pages mobile phones are 4 times more powerful than they were 4 years ago and huge in comparison. So update those landing pages to actually enable advanced workflows and ensure that you're doing what's right for your clients and encouraging them to actually convert. All right, so I'm actually going to turn it over to Callie to run you guys through some of these offers that our marketing team has for you, and then we'll follow up with a question segment.
Great, thanks Erin. I learned a ton during that presentation, so thank you very much. As Erin mentioned, we have some special offers for our attendees today that you can go ahead and choose from. We are offering you a free live demo of the WordStream Advisor, a one-on-one AdWords assessment of your account with an AdWords certified consultant. They'll walk you through what's working for you, what's not working for you, identify different opportunities that you should take advantage of and that they'll help you take advantage of. Or if you're all set with your PPC account right now, you can obviously choose that as well, but we're definitely here to help you. So while you guys are addressing that, let's go ahead and get to some questions. So, Erin, should I just make certain pages mobile responsive, or should I make my whole site mobile responsive? Kind of what should be the strategy behind picking what pages that should be mobile?
That's a great question. So again, I think it's a question of resources. If you have the resources to turn your whole site over, absolutely 100% start taking action to do that. We know mobile is becoming more prevalent. We know people are spending a lot of time shopping around and researching and doing a lot of this process on their phones. So I highly recommend turning over your whole site. Now, I know resources aren't always abundant, and it's a lot of work, especially if you're working on a lot of this yourself. So if you can eventually, get there, and in the interim just have to do a couple pages, then you really want to focus on your PPC landing pages where you're sending people to, and then any pages throughout the conversion process. So not just the landing page, but any pages that they're, filling out the credit card form. I can't tell you how many mobile sites I go to where I want to buy something, desperately ready to buy something, and I give up because it's impossible to fill out the information needed throughout the conversion process because I have a crappy mobile experience. I mean, there are literally some sites that you can't put in all of your credit card information because the fields are not correctly responding to your page. So that's what you want to think about, right? Put yourself in the searcher's shoes, experience the searcher's experience, and then pick the pages that are going to be most important to them and do the rest of the site when you have the resources to do so.
Great answer. So moving along to the next question, does quality score for keywords change automatically if you update your landing page, or do you have to do something to trigger a reassessment?
That is also a good question. There is nothing that you need to do to trigger the reassessment. Google is hyper aware of any landing page changes that you make, and they'll automatically review them and assess them. But there is something that the way you asked the question, they said, does quality score for keywords change automatically if you update your mobile landing page? That's the key thing here. Quality score never updates automatically. Quality score is this ongoing thing. So you might make the most amazing changes and your quality score might be stuck in the same place for a while. It can take 4 to 6 weeks for a change that you've made to actually to see the impact of that change on your quality score. So I wish it changed automatically, but unfortunately it is slow to move, and that's something you need to be prepared for. And that goes for any changes you're making inside landing pages, but also in terms of your account structure, your ads, anything that you're changing.
Good to know. So are keywords different for mobile, and if so, how can you research this?
Also a great question. With the advent of enhanced campaigns, we're now in this situation where we actually have to use the same keywords for our mobile, tablet, and desktop strategy. So, you know, in some ways, this makes things a little bit easier, right? Because you don't have to think about creating separate strategies and doing different types of keyword research. So all you're thinking about it is what kind of bid you'd like to use for mobile and setting that mobile bid adjustment, which is just a percentage off your desktop bids. So no, you don't have to worry about setting up different keywords. You will see that different keywords perform well on mobile. Often shorter tail keywords, of course that makes sense. You know, you're not seeing a lot of long tail keywords searched on mobile phones.
Great. Now, I know you talked a lot about click-to-call and the importance of it and moving people down the funnel. So just curious if you could go into a little bit more detail on how to actually set that up.
Sure. Yeah. So the cool thing about call extensions and click-to-call is it's actually really, really simple in the interface. I imagine there's something on our blog that actually shows it in a little bit more detail. Or you can go to one of the AdWords help pages, but it's really just navigating to the proper section that's talking about the section for ad extensions. And I actually think, let me dial back in my presentation, I actually think I may have a picture. Hang on a sec, guys. Let me just get access to my screen. All right. Okay. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you should be able to see. Okay, so that's for call extensions. To set it up, once you navigate to the call extensions section of AdWords, you're literally taking 2 seconds to plug in this information, right? Picking the phone number, deciding if you want to use a call forwarding number or your own phone number. Here you're going to put both my website and my phone number because this did change, and then just clicking mobile. You can set up some of the advanced options, but it's not required. So it's really, really simple. And that click to call button, that's going to show sometimes. It won't always show. Google shows these extensions at their discretion. Typically, if you're in a top position on mobile, these extensions will show. Now, moving forward to that call-only campaign, that's actually a new campaign type. So you have to set up a campaign specifically call-only. And as you can see here, it's simply going to give you the option to pick that. you create a normal campaign. And then the one thing that you're going to think about when you set up your ads is that you're not going to need to be thinking about a landing page to plug in there, because you'll always have the phone number showing instead.
Great. That was super helpful. Now I know even before this, you and I were talking, and I was trying to pick your brain a little bit and see if mobile is best for certain industries over the others. So this question kind of goes along with that. So say you're in an industry where you have a lot of inventory, but first you need to gather information about what people are looking for, different sizes, different models, different, types. So you need to find out information about them first and then send them to a page with kind of what's available. Are we able to do anything to create a better mobile experience for something like that?
So one question I have, Callie, the person who asked that question, did they indicate what industry they were in?
They did. So they have a trailer dealership. So the challenge is that they need to inform customers about the trailers before they can show them their inventory.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So a couple of things there. There is a lot you can now do, and this is just with PPC in general, so I'm kind of getting outside of just the mobile space right now, but there's a lot you can do if you're in any sort of retail industry to infuse searchers' minds with this information ahead of time. So I'm thinking in terms of Google Shopping ads. They're amazing because you're showing somebody a picture of your whatever inventory you have, or whatever they're looking for, and you're showing the pricing information alongside it. So that's kind of infusing their mind with this information before they click, ensuring that they're actually qualified if they're going to click on your ad. They're actually interested in it. Now, I know that's not quite what you were looking for. Another thing that's really cool is, and the reason I asked the industry question is because Google just released some cool new ad formats, but they're only for like the top couple industries on PPC. So they have them for a couple